Hello folks, welcome to my YouTube channel Watercolor Impressions. This week we are going to learn to paint one of my trial adventures, capturing the essence of iconic architecture in Washington called Capitol Hill. Before you go, hit the subscribe button so you guys can get weekly video. Whenever you approach subjects like this or one of your trial adventure, the one thing to keep in mind before you painting or do anything is to have some faith and having confidence. Because as an artist, we kind of have patterns which we paint similar scenes and which we are comfortable with. So once we paint any new scenes from our travels or from our reference, it can be quite daunting and it can be really frustrating. So really have open mind and keep going until the end result and see what you can come up with. So I'm going to expedite my drawing process, and I did find a little bit difficult approaching this reference because it has a lot of this circular, semicircle architecture at the top of the Capitol Hill. So whenever I see it, you can see in the reference, I simplified into straight lines and in an angle so that when I paint, I make sure it's a circle. And whenever you paint, the first thing you have to keep in mind is coming up with a motive. What I mean by that is your motive is which one you want to frame in your painting. It's obvious in a reference and in this tutorial and in this painting, my main motive is the Capitol Hill. So the foreground element, it's going to be really subtle. It's not going to be, dominant that much, and I'm going to keep it really simple in the foreground. Whereas in the Capitol Hill, I'll put a lot of details. And you can see in a quite faster way, I blocked in the sky wash and the midground and the foreground. So I did start out with the statue at the top, and it has a light greenish color, and I couldn't get the exact same color, but I did have close to it. And when it comes to color, every artist have their own color vision, so don't be discouraged if you're putting any colors which is not matching to the reference, because we put colors based how it impresses us, and that's how every person sees the colors differently. As artists, every artist have their own preference of seeing colors as well, and I want to make sure that it looks really pale. And since the Capitol Hill consists of a lot of marbles and white bricks, so it's kind of doesn't have that much colors in it, so we have to make sure we stain it in such a way that it treats as a marble as well as a white building in it. So I started with the statue, and it was really hard to leave the highlights at the top of the dome, and even though I tried to capture the essence of it. And when I do this, I'm trying to minimize the details as much as I can. And if you see the reference, there was two buildings, two structures, which is on the left hand side and the right hand side, and I left in the mid part of the building and I continued with it. And you can see, even though I made the drawing an angle, now I made it in a circular way. You can also see that I also transposed the entire structure a little bit bigger compared to the foreground, because as I said, that's my vision to capture the Capitol Hill in an iconic way than the rest of the things in my painting. And I'm also painting everything in an impressionistic way, and I'm not like trying to get caught up on details. A lot of beginners tend to have this issue, and sometimes I also caught up in details and put all the little tiny things which is not necessary when you see this painting far. The other way to minimize the details is to squint your eyes, and I'm also using a lot of tissue paper, if you see it, just to create a little bit of gradient, because whenever lighting happens, the top part usually a little bit darker and the bottom part is a little bit lighter, because that's how lighting works in real world, because the lighting goes at the bottom, the rest of the structure casting the shadow on other structure. And you can also see I also simplified the buildings, which is on the left hand side, and this is the building in the mid part. I just combined it as a one single shape connecting to the other structure on the right hand side. So it is a simple process to do it once you get a hang of it. And I also left some white bits on the left hand side in the mid part, because I'm going to add a tree there, and just connecting the building with the midground as well. And this is also really imperative on any painting you do. It's connecting your shapes together, because if you have shapes hanging by themselves, it doesn't look good for the composition. And you can see also the trees also going above the architecture and above the building, but I also simplify it and transpose it smaller because it looks good for the composition. And as a painter, you're telling a story, and it's also necessary to design your painting. And I also learned this recently because a lot of painters, even master painters, they didn't paint stuff as it is. They change their painting in such a way that which create an impactful composition, and they also change the composition, transport the architectures, and even they move the light post and everything in their paintings. And you won't realize it because people have an imaginary of what they see. Even if I show this painting to someone, they wouldn't even realize that I left the mid part, and instantly they will recognize it's a capital L. And I'm also adding the darker stone on top of my pillars, and that gives us a 3D look on my scene as well. And I want to make sure that it also looks like a gradient, so I'm using clean water to have a gradient from top to bottom. So now I'm focusing on the darker part on the capital L on the dome, which is on the top part. And you can see there's a lot of lights going through, not going through on in the middle, and on the sides it doesn't go not that much. And this also you'll learn as you paint once you have a close look at the reference. And I'll be focusing on this dome a lot because I want to make sure this dome reads pretty well, because that's the largest structure in our painting as well. So I'm just adding this tertiary details which is inside the architecture, and I'm adding this little bit of windows here and there in the background because I want to make sure that it looks really minimal than the rest of my architectures, because as I said, our vision, the focal point is at the top, so I want to make sure to add that. And I also add a couple of figures, and you can also see I also transpose the light post on the left, it was on the right, because it also disturbs our composition which is on the dome, so I moved it to the left. And this is what I was talking about. While you paint, make sure you design your painting and don't copy as it is. And it is also, this is when sometimes when I apply for exhibition, sometimes I don't get it because they think that I don't have any originality in my painting. Because if you want to copy as it is, might as well take a camera and take a picture of it. So next time when you paint, keep this in mind and try to capture a little bit of essence from that place and put your own twist on it. So when you travel next time, if it's possible, try to do a thumbnail sketch or a small sketch if it's possible, because that also helps to bring back memory from your travel as well. And sometimes I do it, but unfortunately when I was in Capitol, I want to visit other places in Washington as well, and it was close to George Washington Memorial as well as Lincoln Memorial. I want to go and visit as well. And if you take any reference to paint later, try to make sure to have different angles and different composition, and also have people in the reference as well, and that also helps to have idea of scale in your painting as well. Whenever I paint, I usually put a tape on my watercolor painting, and this helps to see what my painting looks like, and it also gives that crisp look in my painting as well. So now it's your turn. Take one of your travel adventure and let's see what you can come up with. Thanks again for watching this painting your travel adventures tutorial. Please feel free to share your thoughts on this video in the comment section below. If you have any other topics related to watercolors that you would like me to cover, please reach out to me at watercolorimpressions@gmail.com or leave a comment below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for weekly uploads, and share with your fellow artists, friends and family. And good luck at the painting, folks.